This is your live stream brought to you by Century Free Socks giveaway at Laracon a previous year. All right, so Lambo is a command line tool that used to be written in a shell script and is now written in, it is also a brand of car. It's now written in PHP, and the goal is for it to be basically a wrapper around the Laravel installer. So when you run Lambo My Project, it doesn't just run the Laravel installer. It also does lots of other convenient things that I do at the beginning of most projects. Things like install the authorization system and do an initial git commit and bring in dependencies and stuff like that. So Lambo exists and it's been available for quite a while. You can see it at github.com/titanco/Lambo. But the rewrite into PHP is in alpha right now, and you can learn all about how it works. The rewrite to PHP is in alpha right now, and one of the things I've been wanting for a while is this idea of presets. Presets would allow you to do Lambo my project --presets equals Nova, telescope, etc. So you can automatically do a whole bunch of preset actions, which usually involves bringing in a dependency and then also taking some steps in response to it. And my dog has joined me. I have to go close the door again. One of my favorite channels since there's not many people writing real-world apps. Thank you so much, Bogdanovich. I really appreciate it. Hey, John. Hey, Marcus. I know. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. I knew I wasn't, but I wanted to switch to sharing my screen right now. So thank you so much. Every time I do that, at some point, I think you guys are seeing my screen and you're not. Ugh. Still staring at my mug. So yeah, so this is, wow, the dog came in, looked around, and now is huffing to get back out. This is Lambo. He does this like 8 times a day, and I'm losing my mind. Go. All right, here we go. Let me close this so it stops ticking at me. Okay. Yeah, you'll totally like Lambo. So Lambo, normally you say Lambo my project, and then you can pass it certain parameters like what your get message is or whatever. But by default, it does a lot of just very reasonable things. And you can also have a global config. So instead of passing these parameters every time, you can store the way you like it once, and then every time you use Lambo in the future, it'll be that way. So we are on the master is actually on an alpha of a PHP powered version that's close to done, and we're adding something called presets. It allows you to do Lambo my project --presets equals, and then pass it a pipe separated list of the presets you want to run. So we built a preset last week for Blueprint, and now we're going to basically work through these steps. So we're going to look at some other presets, Nova, Telescope, maybe some others. I would love y'all's thoughts about this. Last week's stream has been posted, but the one from 3 weeks ago has not been posted. But yeah, last week's stream, you can find all my streams at youtube.com/MattStauffer. And so last week's stream is going to be this one right here, adding presets to the Laravel install process part 2. All right, so today we're going to add some other base presets, a Tailwind one. I think that's a great idea. Then we're going to Livewire one. I'm curious whether some of the work that Taylor is doing will end up having a Tailwind and a Livewire one, but I think that let's just build them for now and then just see where that goes. We want to get rid of any to-dos remaining in the code, and then help. Help is the one thing we haven't even built at all as a feature, so we should probably do this first. And then make some more base presets, get rid of to-dos, and then maybe refactor something we worked on last week if we've got some free time. So Nova, Telescope, Livewire, Inertia, Tall Stack, Tailwind. John says next version of Laravel will be Tailwind based. Yeah, so that might actually, next version of Laravel is not coming out for a little while, so it might be good to do it for now. Okay, cool. So let's start here by making help. So what we wanted to do here was Lambo. Okay, we wanted to make it so that when you do Lambo, we actually have to define this feature right now as well as programming it. So the idea is this presets thing you can see here. A:12 BC. We want you to be able to define how to get help about a specific preset. So one of the questions here is there a single command called preset help that you can then pass preset names in, and if you don't, it'll tell you all the options? That's kind of how I'm leaning right now, which would basically be Stauffer open issue on Lambo GitHub. I have not seen it. It's been a really crazy busy time. So let's go over to that and see what your issue looks like. So you said it's related to help. So, oh, and look at that. Marissa did something last week too. Sorry, y'all. New help is one for all. I'd like to contribute by PR, but not fully in control of the code structure at the moment, so I thought I should still make some suggestions. The help function we talked about live streaming, I think it'd be something like this. I think we can just convert the display help screen class to handle Lambos and presets help dynamically, just passing the parameters to display. The display help screen can accept usages, commands, options, and flags, each as an array with descriptions if needed, and display them. Concept code. Okay. So okay, so what you're saying is basically if somebody does help, they can pass in the thing that they want the help for, including -- preset equals whatever. So does anybody know off the top of their head if you were using a normal shell script, like a normal bash-powered shell script that has like tons of users, how they would handle the idea of help about specific options and the help about specific presets as well? Because if there's a canonical way to do it, then I would probably want to do that canonical way. Let's see, where do you call CLI string for option? You don't, okay. One of the things that I'm interested in here is the idea that this is allowing a preset to have more than just single parameters, but it's having like flags and stuff, although you can't use pipes inside of it because pipes are what are defining our things. I am interested in this idea of flags, but I kind of think that right now everything you pass in would be has to be a flag, because how can you define the order of them? So yeah, I think I'm interested in the idea of. So okay, so let's ask the first question. If Lambo help currently gives you this help screen, is the correct way to do? Oh, it doesn't. Wait, what? Isn't that what it does? Lambo. Oh, it's called help screen. Let's make it help instead of help screen for sure. Although interestingly, it looks like there's like a native help. Oh, there's a native help that Laravel Zero has. So let's actually go learn about that. So Lambo help list is what this says. Okay, and that's what we're just on. So Lambo help. So what does it run if you actually pass it one of our commands? It tells you what parameters it can take. Okay, so let's try Lambo help new. Oh, it's not named new anymore, but can we do that anyway? And we may just have to like override. Yeah, command new is not defined. We may just have to override it because I think what we want to do, this right here, it's interesting. Laravel Zero is generating basically the exact same shape of help description as we do manually. Like this right here is not using, oh no, hold on. This right here is not using anything native to Laravel Zero. Like we're building this manually, but we happen to build it in a way that looks exactly the same, which means we were both probably inspired by something in Artisan. Okay, so what I'm thinking is, so the question right now is, can we do, let's set aside the question of how to rename the thing. It's right now Lambo help screen. So let's say that's what we want it to be. Does it make sense for you to just pass in a parameter that is a preset? Symfony console, got it, thanks Marissa. Is this right here, this Lambo help screen Nova, would that make sense to people that the only parameter help screen could ever take is filters or presets? Because I kind of think that you'd also imagine that to work for commands. So And you might expect it to work for the options as well. And if we put them all with the same syntax, then that means you can never have a preset named any of these things: editor, message, path, presets, browser, front end, db name, db user, path, create, db, dev, auth, node, mix, link, secure, full, with output, quiet, help. Okay, I mean, I think it's okay if we cannot have, I think it's okay if none of those are acceptable preset names. So let's imagine right now that you can pass in a command here, you can pass in an option here, or you can pass in a preset name here, and all of them will generate the things just for that. So let's say, imagine this. 1, rename help screen to help, and then 2, allow for passing a parameter to help with one of these options. My keyboard has been struggling lately. I thought it was because I got a new stand that's a lot more metal that was interrupting the Bluetooth, but now I moved it to the old stand and it's still having trouble, so we'll see. All right, so this would be Lambo help, what's one of our commands? Edit config, which is a command. You could do Lambo help editor, which is a parameter, or you could do Lambo help Nova, which is a preset, and then all of those would work. I think that's a really interesting way of doing it. Yeah, Muzaffer, that's exactly what I'm saying. I think that's a nice way to do it. All right, so we've got 2 tasks in front of us then. Rename help screen to help, and allow for passing a parameter to help with one of these options. This right here is a Laravel Zero thing, so anybody who feels like it can go Google how to do that if you want. So I'm actually going to say, oh, and look at this. This is actually exactly what I was thinking, except I was just thinking dash dash. So yep, so that's in line with what I was thinking. So rename help screen command to help, overwriting native help from Symfony console. Doable, question mark, and then allow for passing parameters to help that are a command, an option, or a preset. Okay, cool. So let's go modify our thing. Last time I was having a lot of trouble with VS Code because my poor laptop just can't handle all the things that's being asked of it. So we're going to use Sublime Text today. All right, so we're going to go to our help screen command and add it an optional command, or an optional parameter that we're passing in. And you do that by putting in a signature. Now, why is display screen? Oh no, this is a this is the action. We want the command, help command. Here we go. So let's just see what happens if we just name it help. Does that work? Maybe it's something, why not hook in the default help screen in Laravel Zero? Well, first of all, just because I didn't know it existed when I first started. I don't even know what would happen if you just ran Lambo help. I presume that that's, yeah, so this is the Symfony default one. We probably could have hooked into this later, but I don't know whether I knew it existed when I first we switched over to Laravel Zero. But more importantly, when I first built this wasn't in Laravel Zero, it was in Bash scripts, and so we ended up just basically just recreating the Bash script in most of our migrations. So Sarfis, thanks for hosting. So yeah, so probably that could be a potential eventual refactor, but this works fine. So for right now, I'm just going to allow this to be how it works, if that makes sense. All right, so what happens if we run Lambo help now? We get not our command, but we get the native one. So can somebody go look if there's a way to rename the default Symfony command from help to something else? Because otherwise, if we can't, then we can't do this. So right now we're going to do our operations on Lambo help screen instead. And on help screen, we're going to allow for a potential parameter. And it will go like this, which is target. And I think if you do a question mark, then it's not required. Yep. So, and then, so when we display the help screen, we're going to have to be able to display a specific help screen for a specific thing. So I think let's look right now and say So if no target, do this. And then if target, and of course we're going to have to code this, then what are we going to do? Probably what we'll do is have a, this is interesting. We might have a single action, display specific help screen or something like that, that when you run it, it takes like the parameter. But it's possible that we might do as in here, we would like diff which thing you might be asking for, and we have a different command for command help screens versus option help screens. I think I'm willing just to say this thing's going to be dumb, and so the display specific help screen action is going to be the one that takes the responsibility for deciding which thing it is that it's showing. So we can just say if target return, and then this is going to display it for this target. And I don't know whether we want the welcome or not when we do that. Sorry, let me see what's going on here. Okay, cool. So let's make this action. Well, actually, first, let's say, does this still work correctly? Undefined variable target. Oop, because it's not target. It's this options, I think. It's options or input or parameters or something like that. Maybe it's parameters. Nope. Anybody know off the top of their head? I should just go Google it. It is options. Although, no, it's not options. Okay, I'm just going to go Google it. Nope, not closure commands. It's like a argument. All right, so it's that, and then it should default. Come on, keyboard. Should default to null. Great, that's what we wanted. Okay, cool. So when we do help screen, everything's fine, but we say help screen ASDF, it's going to be an error because this particular action right here doesn't exist. So let's go and make an action for it. There's a good chance that these help screen classes are going to share a lot of code, so let's be prepared for extracting something. All right, so we can already potentially modify this. Modify to mention you can ask for help on a specific item. All right, so you know what? There actually might not be that much that we keep in here. So specific help screen, we can keep that indent. And then we don't have commands to iterate over. We do want to invoke method. We're not going to iterate over all of our options or anything like that. And we don't need that. And we do want make spaces. So we may make a help screen trait just with the indent and the make. Yeah, let's actually just do that right now. I think all our traits are down here. Yeah. So we'll do a generates help screens trait. It's going to have a indent equals 30, and then it's going to have that make spaces method available to it. And then we'll pull it in here. Generates help screens. And why did that not get imported? Oh, because I'm in Sublime text, not VS Code. And then this will do the same thing here. All right, so let's make sure it still looks the right way. They just find the same property. Oh, right, because we don't need the property. And, of course, I did intend for this to be protected. So this is generate. No, this is display help screen. And then pull that out of there. Okay. Marissa's saying it might be a good idea to have the help screen command extend the default Symfony help possibly, so you can only have to implement the new functionality. Yeah, that could be possible, but my concern there is that it's going to take a long time to do that, and so that's an eventual thing. Right now, the help screen's almost functioning, so let's just tweak it and then add that as a later to do. And I'll go to Notion and add that as a later to do. Look into reworking help commands to be layers on top of native Symfony help commands. I love the idea. I just don't want to redo all that work right now. Delete the extra space. Which extra space, John? Okay, so my guess right here, oh, right there, thank you. My guess right here is we're going to have one of these for, hey, James. One of these for each of the types. So let's just assume that's the case. Render command help, render option help, and then render preset help. All right, so command help is going to be relatively simple because we're basically going to do probably what this does. Come on, keyboard. All right, so Lambo help, and then the command, which is edit config. So we probably want it to look like this. Edit config file, a new config file is created if one does not already exist. Usage, edit config options. So the problem is the usage on this isn't quite right. The usage would be Lambo edit config. Also, edit config does not have this parameter. So that is definitely a problem. We're getting a thing where figure out why Symfony native help for our commands is expecting options, or ignore this if we totally replace Symfony's native help. Okay, check my notes on the help issue. Does fun work as a function snippet in Sublime Text 3? Probably. All right, let me figure out why that didn't just open. Okay, cool. Marissa put notes in a comment here for how to replace it. Thank you so much. It pulls up the help command, still looking for unregistered help. Help command is built in, line. Going to need to override the application overlay. Wow, okay, thank you. So I will link to this. We're not going to do that today, I don't think, but I really appreciate you looking that up, Marissa. So let's go over to Notion and say rename or get rid of native Symfony help command. And then we don't have to worry about fixing its importing our stuff for now. Okay. Great. So we're not going to do this one right now. We're just going to allow for passing parameters to our existing one. Yeah, gotta love a source dive. All right, so let's go back to what we're doing, which is keyboard's not working. Sublime text, we are going to do this. Okay, so render command help. I did imagine good time zone. Not sure what that means. We do basically want it to look like this, and it is helpful that this is pulling the information off the command in a way that we're going to do. So it's kind of a bummer that like we're redoing this all from scratch, but oh well. So let's go display help screen. And again, like if we were doing this from scratch, I would just do what y'all have been suggesting, which is modifying the native help. However, we're so far in that I don't want to do that right now. It's going well. Helm Electric. Nerdy hello. Oh, good time zone greeting. Time zone appropriate greeting. Hey, Felis. All right, so what we want to do is basically start with the description, usage, and options. Okay, so let's just grab this right here. Oh, we have it. All right. So the first one's going to be the description. Oh, you know what? I think okay, so all of these are going to be differentiated based on which one you're in. So let's right now just say this render command help. And this is going to be the name of the thing they asked for, so target. So right now, obviously, this isn't good enough. We need to pass it to the correct render method. But right now, let's just do render command help. So this is going to have the target. And then right here, we're going to say basically description. And then right here, this is going to be the Lambo target. Oh no, that's not right. That's the syntax. So description for target here. All right, so let's just see if that works. Display specific help screen does not exist because we didn't import the import the namespace here. So let's import it now and run it again. All right, great. So how similar does this look? Description, colon, and then a 1, 2 space indent, which we don't have. So let's go grab our indent from here. And all right, so we have our description, and then we want to set up our usage. And I don't think any of these are going to have options. So I think it's just going to be description and usage for right now. So let's do this. And then that would basically be Lambo, target, and then to do they take params? Which I don't think any of them do, but yeah. How's it going, dude? I missed 30 minutes. That's okay. You missed too much. Oh, doesn't need that extra line break, I guess. All right, so that is basically what we're looking at right there. So we want to now fill this. So if we ask for a help screen for a command, this looks pretty correct. So that's why there's extra line breaks in here. Wait, what happened? Did I break it? Why did it all of a sudden stop working? Oh, I hit up twice. Okay, cool. So this is what we want it to look like. Description, which doesn't need a space, new line. Description, usage, and then that's it. And if we have options, if we have options, we can pass it here and then have this options thing. So we do have this default options thing right here that you can probably pass to all of them. So, man, it'd be nice to be able to get that somewhere. Let's just throw it and generate help screens right now. So public function generic options. And yeah, if you're wondering why are we doing all this work rebuilding rebuilding the Symfony native console, the decision to not rebuild it on top of that is looking worse and worse by the minute, but I still would like to avoid that if possible. I do want to see, can we just grab this out of like a Symfony class somewhere? This right here, Symfony console application. Can we, of course it's protected. Default input definition. Is this something I can easily grab an instance of though? No, I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm just going to do it the janky way right now because we're already halfway in and we haven't even gotten to anything other than help. So this display options and all right, so I'm going to put a render options on all. Well, I think I'll probably do this. Janky. Yeah, it's super janky. Okay, so what we're going to do is basically do what our display help screen. Man, this is not what I wanted to be doing today, y'all. That's okay. This thing right here. Okay, so it's like doing this whole thing like this. Okay, so let's at least generate this here. So for each options. Oh my goodness, this keyboard. Everything is janky today. As option, and then this right here. Oh man, this is so janky. You know what? I'm just gonna leave it to do here. I don't want to do this on the stream. I don't want to make you all sit and watch through this. It wasn't defined yet. It was what's it called? When you program against something that doesn't exist yet. Optimistic programming. Right now, I'm just gonna say to do. And then just say, do a line that says options coming soon. because I just remember this whole manually building one is a whole big pain in the butt, and I don't want to do that right now. All right, so oops. So let's actually do this. Come on, keyboard. This line and then we'll do also a line for options right here. It'd be a good idea to put a pin in this and do exactly what I'm thinking, Marissa. I'm putting a pin in this so that we can be done with this for right now and just call it a day. All right, so we've got this render options method that should be sending out a line. So let's just do it and see. All right, cool. So we see our options there. And then we put it to do. Yep, Marissa, exactly the plan. Okay, cool. So we've got that to do. I've indented it too much. All right, cool. So that's what the help is going to look like for this one. And then, of course, this is a to-do. And this is a to-do. All right, so let's, now that we have that out of the way, let's go over to our first preset, which is called what? The blueprint preset. All right, so we need it to be able to provide help. So first thing it should be able to do is have our public description. So let's go to our base preset to define that each of them should have a why are these not all abstract? Did we run into a thing where making these abstract caused a problem somehow? It installs blueprint stuff. Okay, so what are we going to want on our on these things right here? Because what we want to do is help on the presets, right? Or is there anything else we're doing presets other than help today? Let's take a look real quick. Help make some base presets. Yeah, let's do a real quick throw together of this and then move on to making some fun base presets and have some fun. All right, so let's right now render preset help. And then have it do the same kind of dealio here. And then description is going to be that description. Usage is going to be Lambo my application presets equals, and then it's going to be target here. Of course, we have to do later allow for defining the params. Thanks for following Jeff CUK. So let's just ignore that for right now. Undefined variable target. Okay, description for blueprint here, which is coming out of this. Lambo my application dash presets equals blueprint. We have to tweak this for when you can pass params to one, and then to do options coming soon. So the only thing we need to do here is to be able to translate this target into knowing that it's that preset, and then we can move on to the actual presets. So right here, we're going to have to say get class for target, and basically going to like say if command exists with this target, then get it. If option exists for this target, get it. And the good thing is we have classes for each of these. And finally, if preset exists for this target, get it. So right now we're just going to bypass all the other ones and just get the preset for blueprint. So let's take a look at blueprint here. Is there anything here? I think it's basically just the does anybody remember how we're converting the short name to this? I think we're using maybe studly case. So we basically need to studly equals string studly target, and then basically if this exists in the pre-made, well, exists as a preset class, new it up. And then for now, we're just going to do it really lazy, and we're going to say return new app presets pre-made blueprint. And so now this thing is going to get an instance of blueprint because we're going to pass not the target, but we're going to pass in this get class. I guess it's not class, it's going to get object. We're almost done with this, y'all, and then we're going to get back to actually building presets. Okay, render preset helps. So in theory, I need to import the string facade. Okay, in theory, we should be getting channel. I can see the streams from April 3 and 17, but I can't find last week's. April 17th says 1 week ago, but it shows 17th when you played it. Did JMax Skype in? JMax Skyped in last week, which would have been April 21st-ish, right? So you know what? I must not have gotten that one live yet. It must be part 3. So if it's not live, I will try and get it live this weekend, everybody. So yeah, so if this one right here that says a week ago is actually from 2 weeks ago, then I will try to get last week's as quickly as I can. And this is probably the one that, yeah, so this is the one that didn't have JMax. So this is 2 weeks ago. So yeah, so let's just add that to my list of things to do, which is push last edit and release last week's with JMac. Cool. All right. Oh yeah, you can watch the replays on Twitch, but only for a couple weeks. All right, properties cannot be displayed as abstract. That's what I thought it was the problem. You can't, even though I want them to be, you can't declare them as abstract. So cool. All right, so too few arguments passed to the base preset construct. Oh, we're newing it up here, and it needs the shell injected. So let's, instead of newing it, let's just say app class, so that we get dependency injection. All right, blueprint could not be converted to a string, right, because it's no longer a target that we're passing in. We're passing in, let's pass both the target and the instance. And so target, preset, and then right here, hopefully we can now get the preset description. And this is really what I was trying to get to. Okay, cool. So we at least have the ability to have a description. We're going to have more here when we define what the possible parameters are. So I think I kind of want to do one that has parameters, so that because what I don't want to do is build like 7 of them and then later decide how to store the help information on them. That's why I'm trying to get this right. Obviously this file right here is awful, but at least I'd like to get that fixed. So we know that. So what is one of the ones we've imagined we would pass parameters to? Does anybody know? Nova doesn't have parameters. Telescope probably doesn't have parameters. I guess you could have, Telescope could have a parameter that's dev, which would install it only on development, although that probably should be the default. So maybe you can pass a prod parameter into Telescope to define that it should be installed on production, not just on local, maybe. Off topic, could you update the links to time.js on Matt.Stauffer to show them the relative time? They're hard-coded to October 10th, 2019. I would love to. Would you, if you feel capable, like Serial, would you go write up what those links should be, and then I would be happy to do that. Okay, so let's go make a Telescope one. So let's pause for a second and see how far we've made it and what changes we've made, and then let's do the Telescope one really quickly in the remaining 18 minutes. So we're going to basically, what we have done is basically built the stubs of a context-specific help command. Obviously, it's not done. It's very stubby. Okay, cool. So let's make our next preset. What you all came here for, right? We're going to go to app presets pre-made, and oh look, Telescope already exists. So let's give it a description and then figure out how to handle parameters. So description equals install Telescope and stuff. Okay, so we need to be able to define Let's go to our help command, and instead of specifically newing up blueprint, we'll now specifically new up telescope, because that's totally not janky at all. Okay, so it's giving us a help command. It's telling us the presets, but there's interesting. So now, how do we show them that there are optional options? I think I like the syntax that Muzaffar was saying in his thing, which is basically would be something like this usage right here would probably look like this: Lambo my application -- presets equals telescope, and then like prod ? Oh, I guess it'd be colon, right? And then comma, some other argument ? That kind of thing. I think that's the best way to write it out in the usage help. Doing --dev versus not was going to be tricky because you set the composer install to be hard-coded as parameters. Well, that's okay, thankfully, because you don't have to use it here, right? You could, instead of, this is a shortcut to running it in the run method. So what we'll end up doing is instead run our composer requires in here. So okay, so and what would be interesting? We can actually set the composer requires or the composer dev requires in the before, because our before shell commands. Oh no, wait. Well, crap. We're running composer before our before. I kind of think that maybe we should run composer after our before, like that. I'm wondering if it should the before that they define run before or after the shell commands, or does it matter? But I do think I like the idea of it running before composer, because then anything you do in run happens after composer, and anything you do in before happens before composer. So what we could do is basically say, like, if they want prod, add to the composer array. If not, add to the composer dev array. So we don't actually have to run our composer install here. Composer requires to be functions that pull the option by default, so you can programmatically generate them, but you may need to do something before run, but after composer. Well, the good thing is there's nothing that happens in run except what you define. So if you want something to do before run and after composer, you just do it at the first line of your run method. Nothing is run by the project after this before your manually set run method. Oh, I see what you mean. So somebody could override it if they wanted to. Build composer requires string. So instead of this composer requires, it would be composer return this composer requires. And that way somebody can override this later if they wanted. And we should do that for dev requires too. And then we can make these protected. No, I still want them to be able to. Well, yeah, we could. I'm not sure if I want those to be protected or not. Yeah, I totally love this because this allows you to overwrite the logic that is generating this list. So we do have to. You can't run empty on a method, right? I'm pretty sure you can't. So one option is to save them as temporary variables, but I'm trying to think if there's any other way. I don't think you can do that. Preset equals telescope, prod 1 modifier, prod 2. I'm not sure if there's prod modifiers. You need a level separation. I'm not sure what you mean there, but my brain is in like 10,000 places right now. So, okay, what runs this base preset? So I do think that this is being run right now. So in theory, empty can be run on that. I really didn't think that was possible. Oh no, because we're not actually running the preset right now. That's why. So if we were to actually run this preset, I think we'd run into this problem. Right? Am I crazy, y'all, or is that true? You can't run empty on the output of a function. Come on, keyboard. Oh, it doesn't echo array. It just returns array, but whatever, that's fine. Wow. Turns out you can. Cool. I don't know why I thought you couldn't, but you can. So great. So in theory, this is going to be enough. So let's just do this. And I guess if I know that you can do a for each on it, then it makes sense you can do an empty on it. But I think just empty always bites me in the butt somehow. Yep, you're right. Okay. Yeah, no worries. Muzaffer says preset equals telescope colon prod1 comma prod2 comma modifier. I'm not really sure. Okay, Felix, that must be why I thought you couldn't, because I definitely was writing PHP long before 5.5. Okay, so back to what we were doing. So what we could do here is we can either do what I was originally planning, or we can override those functions. I still kind of think about that. I think I want to do it this way. So we need to set it up so that we are able to see what things that are being passed here without having to worry about generating the actual project multiple times. And that's something I might want to actually build as a feature so that when I'm testing, I don't always have to do what I'm about to do. But let's just do this for now. So before it actually runs all this stuff, I first just run presets and then I exit. And so that way we can test all this preset stuff without it actually happening over and over and over again. So I want to say, hey, here I am, and then just see like, are we actually getting to the point that I think we are? So let's do Lambo my project presets equals telescope colon ABC. This is what I want. All right, here, hey, here I am. Okay, great. So now let's look at what our what is being passed to these presets when they're called. It kind of looks like they're not being passed the parameters yet, and so I think we need to allow them to be passed the parameters when they're invoked. They're not being passed the parameters. So that sucks because that now means we're now going to have to modify all these methods to pass the parameters to. So build composer require string will not need the parameters. Before will need the parameters. Before we'll take parameters. Pretty sure they're all going to be arrays. And then base run is going to take the parameters. Jeez. This is the problem with calling all the methods instead of newing it up manually. Because when we're newing it by app using the dependency injection. So adding it in here I think would be awkward, although I might change my mind. Actually, hold on. Let's go look. Let's make sure that this is the right decision before I start typing it out and then later look and realize I'd rather do this. So when we new up this preset, we say get preset by short name, and then it news one up. And down here, it looks for that thing, and then it apps it. So I do think that we could, okay, hold on a second, Matt. We could probably, I think in a pretty, it's now been a couple years, I think. I complained about this a lot, and I think it got fixed, and then I haven't used it much. You can now, I believe, pass things into here that will be passed as the later ones. So let's just test this. Am I right that you can do this? Unresolvable dependency. Okay, so I think that tells me I'm wrong and this is not possible. Run presets line 65 says it cannot do this. Unresolved. Okay, so you can't do that. It's a named array. Ah, okay. So it would be other presets. Thanks. Perfect. Marissa for the win yet again. All right, so what do we want to pass in? I think we want to pass in a single thing named params, and then do it like this. Okay, I think that's what we want. So right here, what we want to do is params, and then this right here in this spot, we need to get the params. And then let's just go here and just make sure it's all coming through the way we're expecting, which it's not, so I probably typed the name wrong. unresolvable dependency resolving params. So I named it params, and then we passed it in as params. So what did I do wrong? Hey, Jesse. Thanks, Marissa. We asked for a constructor thing named params. I passed it one named params. I don't think params is magic or anything like that. Oh, you know what? Maybe I hadn't saved both files. Let's actually try that. Yep, I just hadn't saved both files. I saved one and not the other. Keep doing that. Okay, so now I do believe we're going to get this. Fantastic. Okay, so now the thing is, when we're getting this get presets by short name, we can't just pass in the short name. We also have to make sure that that thing has the params that were passed for that short name as well. And that's going to be past preset. So I don't think anything else is using get preset by short name. I think it's literally just that. Oh, nope, just kidding. Oh, it's just a test that's using it, so that's okay. So we're going to need to fix that test. And then I'm going to rename get presets by short name to be get presets or get preset instance. And what it's going to take is a past preset. Which I believe is just a standard class object. So instead of this, it's going to get preset instance. And then this is going to be a standard class preset. And so short name is actually going to be preset. And now I believe we're going to have all the other things we need, including the params that were passed. Let's just double check. Instance of standard class, I got to use standard class up here. I can't do autosave. Kills me. Hey, Jantin or Yantin, can you make params nullable? If I need to, I can. But I don't. If you mean over here, I think it's always going to get something. I want it to have an empty array. So it would, if I did anything, it would be something like this, I believe. Thanks for subscribing, Mohammed. Okay, so let's run this again and see where we are. Okay, so this is what's passed here, and we already have a parameters thing that is probably exactly what we want. So let's just pass that in wholesale. So when we have this instance, we have preset dash parameters, and so we're just going to pass that in right here. Preset parameters. And then that's it. So now this is going to be an array of parameters. We'll have to make sure, does it come through as an array when you don't do it, or does it come through as a null? Yeah, it comes through an empty array. Perfect. So now we have all of our parameters available to us in a params array. Nice and neat. So now, at this point, all of these things have access to them. So which of them need access to them? Well, params is protected, which means our telescope thing has access to them. So real quick, let's just go in here and just say, do we indeed have access to params as we expect? Yes, we do. Okay, and our param is ABC. So what we want to do is basically, if user is asking, I don't know why my children are stomping up there, for prod. You know, and we may or may not actually choose to keep it that way, but I'm just writing it this way, especially because we're almost out of time. We just broke a test, and I want to make sure that we remember that next time, and you know that this all makes sense when I disappear in a couple minutes. All right, if the user is asking for prod, then add to composer array. Add to composer dev array. Are there any other changes? Does anybody know for Telescope other than just that, adding it to the composer versus composer dev? So I don't know what y'all are talking about in terms of the nullability and everything. Oh, Josh, I'm sorry you just got here. I've been on for an hour. So this is it array push, and then the array. So this is something I missed from VS Code, is auto completion on native PHP functions. If you want to, Felix and others, if you want to ask me that question about nullable again, now that I've done what I've done, if you still have that question, then ask me, because I don't know quite what you're asking. So let's assume it's this syntax, which is the thing we're pushing onto and then the thing we're pushing. So this would be composer requires, and then it would be this. Oh no. Can you? How do you array push on a associative array? I know I could just set it, and that actually might be the only way to do it. Oh, array push associative? Is that a thing? No, it's just people saying how to do it. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna just do it like this. It feels a little janky though. This composer requires, you know, and then it's Laravel / telescope equals. I think we had tilde 1.0. It feels kind of janky to just set it because like this doesn't make it totally clear to future people. Are we changing it or are we adding it? So I wish there was like an associative version of array push, but I don't think there is. Okay, setting is better than array push unless you're putting multiple items in there. Well, I don't think it's better, but I do think it's probably the only one that's possible. Like I said, I think that this doesn't communicate. When you're setting something like this, it doesn't quite communicate what the state was before. And so the user is assuming you're adding it, but it could be modifying it. There could have been one there already. And so in programming, I like to do a thing that is more clear about what we're doing. And in my mind, that would be array push associative, but that doesn't exist. So we're going to do this. So I think this is what we want. If user's asking for prod, do this. If user's not asking for prod, do this. And so I don't know. I think what I'll probably just end up doing is just say, you know, if this params, if in array, I think this is needle haystack, prod this params. I think that's what we want. Push composer rex function is actually a pretty great idea. Can you presets add npm dependencies yet? That is a fantastic question. If they can't, they should. So let's go add a note about that. Fix broken test. Allow presets to add npm dependencies. Man, this keyboard. Dependencies. Consider adding a push to composer require method and a push to composer dev require method. We'll think about that one and see what we think. Test may not be broken. Test should be broken because the test is, we'll run the test in just a second. So let's just do this. I just want to solve this right quick and then also leave a to-do that says add option documentation to telescope preset and update help command to read it. We go with composer require vendor / package : version if it needs small. I'm not where Muzaffar. All right. Okay, so if we do it this way, it should say no prod, and then if we type prod, then it should say prod yay. All right, great. So that works in general. So we can believe that this is working in general, and then this is going to be to do add documentation about its options. Okay. So we made progress. Let's go run our tests. I think they're going to break because there's a thing testing that you're passing something to a function that doesn't exist. Yep, right here. It's looking for a function that doesn't exist. So, you know, we could actually probably fix that really quickly. The test is called run presets test. If I can't fix this in 2 minutes, then we're out of here. All right. It makes new, all right, get preset by short name. So this right here is not actually a thing anymore, but we can say it news pre-made presets from past preset objects. And so what we're going to do is not telescope, but instead we're going to say past preset equals new, or actually just we're going to convert it to a standard class, and it's going to say preset telescope. Now, if we pass that in and then rename this function we're calling, I think that's going to be enough. So we renamed it to get preset instance. And now let's run our tests. Undefined property. Oh, it looks for the parameters as well, even if there are none, which makes sense. So parameters are empty. Look at us. Good to go. Fix the test. Thanks, everybody. Things to do later, so we can get rid of that. Okay, cool. So we did a lot. We also left a lot of to-dos. So we have quite a ways to go. So what did we do? We can get rid of that for now. Okay, cool. So we pass the parameters, prep for help, context-specific help with presets with params. What are we doing? We are passing the parameters to our preset instance. We are building proof of concept for differentiating composer packages based on user params, and extend base preset to allow more customization. All right, that's it for today. Thank you all for hanging out. I will update the notes to actually say what we did today, and then I will get to editing last week's and getting on live as quick as possible, online as quick as possible, and then I'll try to get this one online as quick as possible. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you all for your help. You are wonderful humans, regardless of helping me, but you are all certainly very wonderful.